What's up, everybody? I'm John Middlekauff. You know what I need you to do. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. We got content for days reacting to every NFL game all the time, every single day. Subscribe, like the videos. Let's go. This product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical, and underage sale is prohibited. If you're as competitive as I am, you always are looking for something to help you stay dialed in. And for me, that thing is Zone pouches. You won't catch me without. I actually have a big package coming from my friends at Zone with some of my favorite flavors. Excited to share those. So not to mention 20 pouches per can versus 15 the other guys provide. Choose Zone and dominate the day. Use the promo code number 3 and out 20 on NicoKick.com for 20% off at checkout. Okay, back at it again with my main man from the Action Network. All of our lines are presented by our friends and our partners at Hard Rock Bet. Stuckey, the slate, I wouldn't call it the greatest slate in the world. We got a couple good games. I've had a rough year, but how you doing, bro?
Good. Just going through the grind. College basketball now back in the heart of college football and NFL. I can't believe it's week 13 of college football, week 12 of the NFL. It always goes by so fast. But yeah, no sleep, just grinding. But I always tell myself it's a labor of love. I always say that. I do love going through the grind. But whenever I get tired, I'm like, just think in June when you're dying for football, have some gratitude. So yeah, just continuing on, trying to find winners. That's what it's all about.
I got my fix in. I was watching. I needed a little sports hit on a Wednesday night. I was watching Arizona UConn. Dan was in rare form. I mean, he was on tilt. They lost, but college. The good thing about NIL, I feel like it's revamped college basketball. Like college football's been rolling now for a while. It just feels like, and I think Alabama, Illinois came on right after. These games just feel big. I mean, these universities. I mean, it's become pro sports light, right?
Yeah, these early season games when they're on campus in particular.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just such a better feel for college basketball. But yeah, Arizona picked up a huge win. They've been super impressive. They've won in a multitude of ways against really good teams so far this year. Like they've won in a shootout, they won a grinder versus UCLA, and they've been really impressive. Bradley's been really good closing out games. They have the stud freshman Pete, so they look really good, and it's kind of like college football that I don't think that there's going to be one dominant team, and there's like amongst the top of all of college basketball, there's going to be like a lot of parity where you're going to have a lot of teams, and that makes the tournament more interesting. It's kind of like that in college football, although maybe Ohio State is that team again this year, but you now have just like your second best team through your 10th, 12th. There's not that much separation, and it's going to make for a more interesting playoff. Although we don't need to expand it anymore. I'm seeing the Big Ten now proposing like 24 teams.
Oh,
like, we don't need to go to 24. And we like,
well, if it was 24, Texas would be like in the driver's seat as like the 14 seed. It's like
insane.
I have to watch them play. They're not. What are we doing? 12. 12's off.
12 is fine.
And it's they need to tweak it to, I guess they don't want to get sued, but the non-Power 5 team or Power 4 team on a given year, like Boise last year around the table, I got no problem over the course. TCU back in the day, the Utahs before, those teams jumped up, they had individual seasons, but if there's not an individual season that's worthy, you don't just get a seat at the table. That's the thing with the NFL. Like, that's the one thing with college. You earn your way, but it's still kind of subjective. Like in the NFL, it's pretty black and white, right? Which to get the 7th seed, like you're gonna have to hit some certain tiebreakers or whatever. But there's no subjectivity to the 14 teams that make it in the NFL. Which in college, clearly, there's a lot. I mean, hell, Notre Dame and Miami is going to be a major story over the next couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe if you did it like, yeah. I mean, it's tough to just completely worrying about lawsuits and excluding half of college football. But I think eventually one day we're going to have just like FBS Light, which is like Power 4, and maybe there's like mega conferences. I don't even know how it's going to go. But maybe you just have like the 4 top conference championships because there's an argument, there's a chance that if Duke ended up winning the ACC, they might not have gotten in with 4 losses. Like you could have had 2 group of 5 teams get in over the ACC champ. So yeah, the ACC is really down this year overall. Like we're most likely going to get Georgia Tech, who could have lost to Wake Forest. They could have lost to Boston College. Virginia should have like 4 or 5 losses this year. That's the most likely ACC championship game. So they're way down. The Big 12 is basically just Texas Tech. Utah's playing really well, but their path to get there is very difficult. So
Utah would be a worthy playoff team right now.
Yes.
I just don't know if they're going to get in. But they
need like
team.
BYU to lose to Cincy, and they need like Arizona State to lose to Colorado. Like Arizona State, BYU loses to Cincy, they're a 2.5-point favorite on the road. They very well could lose. Arizona State could be the team that gets back to the Big 12 championship, but they don't have their quarterback. So
I do think their coach, I mean, over the next 10 days, I don't think it's inconceivable that Kenny Dillingham's like the coach at LSU.
Yeah. I'm interested to see what he takes because he's like all in on his university, but money always talks. So it would be a big loss for the Sun Devils because he's doing a great job there. But yeah, if you're the other game, the biggest swing game of the weekend is USC Oregon. Like the loser of that is out. The winner of that is in really good spot to make the college football playoff. And if Oregon wins this week and then loses next week at Washington, which is certainly possible. Washington has some offensive line injuries. 2 of their best players, Boston NFL wide receiver and Coleman, an NFL future running back. I think they'll both be back, but they have some injuries worth watching. But say Oregon beats USC and then loses to at Washington next week. I mean, the Big 10 only gets 2 in, and then you have 1 from the Big 12, 1 from the ACC, 1 group of 5. You're talking maybe 6, 7 SEC teams, depending on what happens with some of them.
Don't you think it'd be? I mean, I think Oregon is going to house USC. I mean, this is a bad. This is
USC on the road. They just can't travel for some reason.
And honestly, even last week, they're 21-10. It's in the rain. If you would have turned that off and you said, "Hey, you have to bet $10,000 right now who wins this game," you wouldn't be able to find a soul alive that would have put money on USC in that moment. It paralleled the feeling of that Nebraska game. Obviously, the difference, Nebraska's quarterback got hurt. Iowa's just Iowa. But I just think that I would be stunned. And I'm not trying to overreact to the Minnesota game, but it does feel like Oregon's kind of figuring themselves out. Their backup tight end is a monster, some transfer portal guy. Obviously, their starting tight end's a stud. They just feel like this thing has got blowout. Now, their rival is Washington, so you just never know in these games. I mean, look at Michigan last year against Ohio State. I would be a little stunned if they have a really good performance this week if they lost to Washington, wouldn't you?
It depends on how healthy Washington is, but when Washington's fully healthy, like the problem is Washington this year has rarely been fully healthy. And like, for example, they have a left tackle, Carver Willis, who's really good. This freshman guard who they had to move to right tackle. He's going to be their future left tackle. Mills, he's really good. Their tackle that he had to replace, Azu Party, he's pretty good. Their center, Hatchett's pretty good. But a team like Washington, the biggest difference between them and an Oregon and Ohio State is Washington has no depth. So, like, they're, especially on the offensive line, like their backup left tackle, who's had to play, I think, 3 or 4 games this year, because Washington had offensive line injuries in that Ohio State game, and then their offense just crumbled. And Ohio State's the best defense in the country. If Washington's fully healthy, and at home, they are a different animal. And I mean, look, this Oregon team, they did lose at home to Indiana. They could have lost at Iowa. They weren't that impressive at home against Wisconsin. When they play a cupcake, they're like the best team in the country. They can put it on you and out-athlete you, but I'm still not all the way sold on more. So we'll see. I can see Washington winning that game, but they have to be healthy. They can't go into that game with injuries because that's the biggest difference between Washington and some of these other the upper tier teams in the Big Ten. They obviously don't have as much talent, but like you're talking Williams, one of the most talented quarterbacks in the country. They have an NFL, a top 5 back in the country, a top 5 receiver in the country, good play caller. And then their offensive line has talent if it's healthy. But the depth beyond that it's Washington is yet to build out their depth. So I could see the thing is USC and Maeda in particular has been bad on the road. USC under Riley forever has not been able to travel. Now it's worse when they have to go multiple time zones. But when you mentioned that Nebraska game, I mean, if Mariota doesn't get hurt, they lose that game. And they just haven't traveled well, and they can't defend the run. They're a little soft and finesse. So I'm sure that's what Oregon's going to lean on here. And I'm not sure that USC has any answers. Now, could they pull off the upset? Sure. Because they do have arguably the best wide receiver duo outside of Ohio State in the entire country in Lemon and Lane. Maeda's going to have to be good, though. And like I said, he struggled on the road because they're going to have to put up points to win this game because it's hard to see them keeping Oregon in check, and Oregon should be able to control the clock. They're at home. So I think Oregon is much more at risk of losing next week than this.
Today's show is brought to you by our new presenting sponsor, Hard Rock Bet. We talk a lot of football here on 3 and Out, but there's always something to bet on. The NBA, college hoops, hockey, sports are going full swing right now. When you sign up with Hard Rock Bet today, you could score $150 in bonus bets. You just have to place a $5 wager, and if it hits, you not only get your winnings, but you also get $150 in bonus bets. Hard Rock Sportsbook app is the only legal sportsbook whenever you're in Florida. And it's also live in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, Colorado, and coming soon for more states near you. Plus, Hard Rock Bet offers new promos every single day. So whenever you're listening, just open the app and check out what you've got on any given day of the week. Download the Hard Rock Bet app today and make your first deposit. Okay, let's dive into some NFL games. The Chicago Bears and the Pittsburgh Steelers are currently both in first place. Neither of them is favored to win the division. I think as we sit here today, are we on the same page that Aaron Rodgers won't play this week, or do you expect to see him?
I think no, but you never know with Rodgers. Like I don't try to predict ever what Rodgers.
It's clearly not a catastrophic injury. It's one of those that's just kind of like it's not concrete. No, beside people inside Pittsburgh and with Aaron, it's not. He didn't break his wrist, but it's not nothing. It's one of those. If it is just a little bone tweak, is it something? If he falls on, does it get worse? You use your left hand obviously to brace for impact when you're sliding, when you're getting tackled. So it's not one of those, well, it's no big deal. It's his non-throwing hand. It is kind of a big deal, right? If it is painful, and it's one of those, but also like, is it going to get better? Is it one of those where he has to miss a month? I do think if Mason Rudolph comes in, obviously the Bears just on a down-to-down basis aren't a very good defense. But I was looking the other day because I was looking at something on Myles Garrett, and then right below it was like the interception leaders. And the Bears have 3 of the top like 4 guys that account for 13 interceptions. So it's like, if you play, somehow they just get a lot of picks. Now, granted, J.J. McCarthy was just throwing it right to the guys. But I don't know. I mean, you tell me Mason Rudolph's playing in this game. I think I'm hammering the Bears.
Yeah, at 3, I wouldn't mind the Steelers. I mean, I don't think there's a huge drop-off right now between Rodgers and Rudolph. But I think the Steelers are a good teaser option if you want to tease them up. I mean, the Bears have been very, very fortunate because of the turnovers. I mean, if you remove turnovers and look at their EPA, they're one of the worst defenses in the league. I mean, they have a plus 16 turnover margin. That leads the league. The next best is plus 10. They have a league-high 15 interceptions. They've fumbled it 9 times. They've only lost 2. Their opponents have fumbled it 10 times. They've recovered 7 of them. So, like, turnovers and takeaways are masking their defensive issues. They can't cover heavy personnel, and that's what the Steelers are, multiple tight ends. The Bears are giving up 6.2 yards per play against 12 personnel. They struggle to defend the run. They struggle to get pressure. So I think the Steelers will be able to move the ball. Now, on the other side, the Bears, like, look, these 2 teams are kind of mirrors, right? Like, they have good records in first place. the Steelers always benefit from turnover luck, and they're like you mentioned, neither are favored to win the division. If there's going to be some turnover luck that's coming, and the Bears have benefited from turnover luck on offense too, like they haven't turned it over. The Steelers are the team to exploit that, and the Steelers generally don't turn the ball over. So maybe this is the game where that happens. Um, because I mean, you have to remember the Bears are 5-0 in one possession games. They all came in the final minute against the Raiders, the Commanders, the Vikings, the Bengals, and the Giants. We're not talking the cream of the crop here. I mean, it's pretty troubling that McCarthy was that bad last week. I mean, and this guy, he has all kinds. I mean, there was wide open guys all over. He has major mechanical issues right now. He can't throw the left side of the field. He's locking in his hip, and it's all arm, and he can't get the ball there. I mean, he has a 55% on target throw rate to the left side of the field. The next worst among all quarterbacks is 70%.
When you say on target, you're not saying completion. You're just saying in the vicinity of the target.
Yes, like was it a catchable ball for the receiver? And he's at 55. The next worst is 70%. Like he's a major, and then he lacks touch on these short passes. So they have a lot of work to do with him. But it's very troubling in that he was that bad for basically the entire game. The Bears got 2 interceptions. They also recovered a fumble that they had inside their own 10. And the Vikings somehow had the lead with a minute to go, and then the Bears needed a kickoff return.
The Bears, if I was going to defend Caleb, the Bears drop a lot of balls.
Yes.
They drop a shitload of balls.
Caleb's played pretty well. I mean, he does bail from the pocket too quickly at times. Like you'll just see him 180 and then make something happen. And
he breaks out of a lot of sacks, though.
Yeah, he does. He's very elusive. So, but the thing that's made the Bears, why are they in first place? 1, because their defense has gotten lucky with turnovers and they've gotten fortunate in close games. 2, Ben Johnson. And 3, this is kind of a derivative of Ben Johnson. Their run game has been cooking, and they should be able to run on Pittsburgh. Now, Pittsburgh's defense has been disappointing this year. They have over the past few weeks, they have started to change some things schematically on a week-to-week basis. Like you saw them go from heavy man to heavy zone, more 2 high, more cover 6. Like so, they're being a little bit more unpredictable, which I think is helping their cause because they have other issues elsewhere. But this will probably be a close game. It'll probably come down to turnovers. And there is something that the Bears do have late, like when they have the ball and you have Ben Johnson and then Caleb Williams can make things happen with his legs. Like you feel confident with them in a close game. But this is down to 2.5 now. I have nothing here, but at 3, I would look at the Steelers. 2.5, I probably would tease the Steelers up, but probably another close game. I mean, that's all the Bears have played outside of that Dallas game. And they easily could have 3 or 4 more losses on the season, but huge game for both teams.
I think early returns, and you never know with a coordinator. Like, we knew Mike Vrabel maybe this year is going better than anticipated a little bit, but like he's proven he's a good head coach, and he was good when he had good players. I think Ben Johnson has immediately become the Midwest Kyle Shanahan. Very serious, not a big bullshit guy, and just dreams about running the ball. I mean, I see a lot of similarities, their personality and the way they view football. And I think as they get better players on defense and get healthier over the years, that style is conducive, assuming you stay healthy, of creating toughness on defense, running the ball in practice. Look at the Ravens for years. I think the Steelers, in theory, right? I think it helps create toughness in practice. So I've been blown away by Ben Johnson.
They're way ahead of the curve from where already to be in first place in that division right now.
Push pressure on LaFleur. It's like, okay, well, this guy is no longer just the coordinator; he's the head coach now of the Bears.
Yep.
Obviously, he's under some heat, and that Giants game was for a minute. You're like, whoa, is this? He's gonna because it was cold, it was weird. You could kind of feel it, like is something weird gonna happen. Then Jordan Love hit a couple passes, and everyone could take a deep breath. But also the Jameis experience. I do think this defense has to be just licking their lips playing this kid. I mean, it might be my favorite bet of the year. Like he's going to go into Lambeau after all this, everything going on. I read this article today on ESPN.com. I mean, you had mentioned some of the metrics of how they're just redoing his mechanics on the fly. It's like I follow golf really closely. When guys redo their swing, one, they spend a lot of time on the range. And then when they go into tournaments, they're like, listen, I'm not expecting to play well.
Yeah, it's going
Like,
to take time.
yeah, it takes, I mean, from Tiger to random pros, let alone anyone in pro sports, you mechanically change someone. Look at Aaron Rodgers. He got to do it in practice for 3 years before they ever threw him to the Wolves. It's impossible at the highest level of sports, tennis, baseball, football, to change your mechanics in the middle of a season. No fucking way. And even McCarthy's like, you got to rewire your brain. So maybe big picture, it can change. I would bet against usually the guys you get mentally broken. And you can see the way guys are looking at him. If he's able to do it, he is a Alex Smith didn't redo his mechanics, but like mentally tough. He like withstood it all and then he got over the hump, but he's rare. Usually it just breaks people. So it's not apples to apples, Alex Smith to McCarthy here, but Green Bay -6.5 is my favorite bet on the board.
Yeah, it's like, think about it. In order to become a pro athlete in any sport, it takes, whether it's a jump shot, whether it's throwing a football, a pitcher throwing a baseball, swinging a tennis racket, a golf club, the amount of muscle memory and the amount of reps that one must go through in order to just get that down is something that I just don't have a grasp of, right? To get to that level and be like a starting pitcher in baseball or a starting quarterback in the NFL. And like you said, rewire your entire brain. There is so much muscle memory and just repetition there and doing something one way. To change it is going to take time. And
if
right now,
if it's even possible.
Yeah. Right. And right now it's just broken. Like last week I was like, okay, it's only been a couple of starts. He's played some tough defenses, but that was the perfect game. Like it was a defense who can't get pressure with a bunch of backup defensive backs indoors. And he's in a good situation. Like he has a good offensive line, a good play caller. He has good receivers and
tight end, backs and catch. I mean, he's got it all.
It's like as ideal of a situation as you would want. And he just couldn't hit wide open throws, whether it's like throwing it too hard on the short ones or just completely missing the deep ones. And I don't know how you correct that. So I'm out on McCarthy.
That out route where the Bears, like, it looked like one of their backups caught it. It might have been a wide receiver, like well past Justin Jefferson, who was running probably like a 8-yard out route. Was like, that wasn't even Tom, who was trying to be nice, right? It's a Michigan guy, was like, I don't know where he's missing. I don't know what's going on here. What are you even going to say unless you're just going to completely shit on him?
Yeah, it was ugly. I mean, I don't. This
why does the coach keep calling go routes and deeper breaking routes? Like I would never call those routes for him.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they try to do this week. On the road in Lambeau against that defense, that's going to be tough. Now the Packers offense, I don't like. They might really miss Kraft in general, big time, but they might miss him more this week against the blitz. Like Kraft against the blitz has been so good, and usually your tight end is your safety valve, the guy you look for when you're getting blitzed, and we know that Flores is going to bring the blitz. And the Packers offense in general, there's been so many injuries at wide receiver, tight end, and now, Jacobs at running back. The offensive line has had injuries every week. So, like, if you look metrics-wise, Jordan Love is number 1 in the league in EPA per dropback. There's also a ton of drops. Like, you would never believe that, right? Like, just watching their offense. But he's number 1 in EPA per dropback. But the offensive operation right now is wonky. There's something off, and it's because of all the injuries, no Kraft, and shuffling wide receivers in and out, offensive linemen in and out. As a result, the Packers are struggling to like put it all together on offense. And as a result, they can't really build margin on teams. Like, for example, they lost to the Panthers at home when Bryce Young threw for 100 yards.
They're the Spider-Man meme with the Eagles.
Yes. I mean, they didn't punt in that game. The Packers didn't punt against the Panthers. The Panthers threw for 100 yards and won. The Giants, and you watch that game, like there were so many drops. They drop a lot of balls. So that would be my only fear.
87's got some. I mean, it's in his head. It feels like a little bit. He has some that
Yes.
are like hitting him in stride. I thought he was a stud based on last year, and this year you watch him, you go, something's off.
Yeah, he's had a couple of bad ones last week, Dubs. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't.
Christian Watson's infused a little life, I feel like, into their operation.
Yes, he had a huge, that touchdown catch was legit
Was sick.
week.
That looked like Devontae and Rodgers.
Yeah, they should get Reed back, which will help, I think, for the Thanksgiving game against the Lions. And they're just still trying to figure out life after Kraft. So that would be my only concern. But I certainly couldn't look at the Vikings here. The other thing is that is worth mentioning because you're laying 6.5. Are the Packers, can they make an extra pointer? I get it. There was wind, a lot of wind last week in MetLife, but their kicking has been a disaster. I mean, no matter who they have in there all year. So that's at least worth noting. But right now, can't trust McCarthy, so it's Packers or nothing.
Someone sent me the stat that over from 18 to 22, Mahomes on 20-plus yard passes threw like 52 touchdowns. And he almost averaged 16 yards a pass. And over the last several years, it's down under 10, and it's like 5 total touchdowns. And he clearly, his deep ball accuracy the last couple of years, even when guys have been healthy, has just been a little off. Now, part of that is his rapport with Tyreek, who in his prime is, I mean, truly one of the great talents we've ever seen. So you remove like Tyreek, Randy Moss, whoever, Terrell Owens, there's a drop off. But like I do think there is some, like, Patrick's just not quite as dominant as he was during that stretch. And there are plays to be made. He still makes plays. I defend him, like, even when his numbers aren't great. Like, you can watch him, be like, he's still making some plays. But in that Denver game, and just I would say of the totality of the last couple of years, they masked it last year, and definitely 2 years ago when they won 11 games, remember? He had that stretch where he was throwing like a pick a game. It was like 7 straight games. And then it was all came to a head on that Christmas Day game. It was like, God. But what happened? Playoffs start, boom. The dust settles, they're in the Super Bowl. So it's like, what do you even say? But like over the last several years, Lamar, obviously this year is weird, but Josh and Lamar have been better players in the regular season. But he goes, well, fuck, I got you in January. And at the end of the day, that matters more. Josh and Lamar would gladly trade anything in the regular season for what he's had in the playoffs, right? And especially in the AFC to get to the Super Bowl. But I do think this is a big, because it's weird. Like the Chiefs are 5-5. They don't feel like a normal 5-5 team. I still think they're pretty good, but something is missing. This is a big spot at home. There's a lot of kitchen sink games. I think they threw the kitchen sink last game. Denver's good. I mean, the defense is pretty elite. But Daniel Jones going to go into Kansas City with kind of their season on the line, because all of a sudden, if the Jags win, like, you're going to find yourself so far back, you might be screwed.
Yeah, it's.
I guess I like the Chiefs. I think they win by a touchdown.
Lamar has nothing to show for. He could have 3 MVPs. Lamar over the past 2 seasons has 57 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And he had 2 last week. They were both off the receiver's hands. One off the helmet, one caught him right in the hand. 3 of his other interceptions. One, a Steelers guy ripped it out of the hands of the Raven. Another one went right off the chest. He basically has 2 interceptions and 57 touchdowns over the past 2 years, which is ridiculous.
Josh's game on Sunday too was like, Jesus, like what? Yeah, this guy's.
Allen too. I could go into all Allen's numbers, but nothing to show for it. So, yeah, at the end of the day, that's all anyone's going to remember is the playoffs. But yeah, the offense hasn't been the same, especially with the deep passing. There's a couple things at play. I mean, the Colts are coming off of a bye, but Daniel Jones has kind of turned back in to his true self, his true pumpkin self. I mean, over the first 8 weeks of the season, he had 3 interceptions. He was sacked 9 times, and he only had 2 fumbles. So weeks 1 through 8 games, only 3 picks, only 9 sacks, 2 fumbles. Last 2 games, 4 picks, 12 sacks, 6 fumbles. So the pressure's getting to him. He's kind of panicking. You know, teams have film now on what this offense is doing. Now, the wild card is what can Jonathan Taylor do? He could carry them to a win just like he did against Atlanta. Chiefs' run defense a little vulnerable. It's not as vulnerable as Atlanta's run defense, especially without Diablo, but I'm sure they're going to try to lean on Taylor here. But I would agree with you, especially at 3, even at a juice 3. I would look at the Chiefs. Spags throwing everything he has here at Daniel Jones will probably make some mistakes. Sauce Gardner does change the equation a bit, right? Now he has the bye to get assimilated with that defense. They were playing man more in overseas, even with Gardner only having a couple days to prepare, and that's how you want to play the Chiefs. You want to play more man, not zone. But Kansas City's still, I mean, Indianapolis is still missing Buckner. They don't get elite pressure. So I would imagine Mahomes and company will be able to move the ball. A crazy stat. Since 1990, this will be only the 15th time in week 11 or later that we've had a team that's 5-5 or worse. So week 11 or later, a team that's under 500 or worse, favored over a team with a winning percentage of at least 80%. It's only happened 14 previous times. All 14 teams won, and they went 12-0-2 against the spread.
The 5-5 teams all won, you're saying?
Yeah, all won, and they went 12-0-2 against the spread. So only 2 pushed, the other 12 covered. So at 3, yeah, I think the Chiefs are the move.
If we did a deep dive on that, do you think there were some injuries involved in some of those with quarterbacks?
Yeah, and there's also like sometimes when you just have like this is the case with this game. Like the Colts have been really good, but they've played a weak schedule.
No one views them like the Ravens or the Bills of previous years.
Yes, and then you had a Chiefs team is 0-5 in one-score games, and they're still power rated as one of the some power ratings the best team in the NFL still. So every year you're going to have a couple teams that are like. There's been a couple Steelers teams. I think maybe the COVID year, the Steelers started like 10-1, and they weren't even that. It was like the end of Roethlisberger's career, and they were just winning every game by like 1 on voodoo. So like you'll have
when Baker got him in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, you'll have a couple teams every year that they're playing way above their record, and then you'll have a couple teams that are unlucky, and then when they meet, sometimes that's when you'll get these teams that are favored. So it doesn't mean that Chiefs are a lock, but just an interesting nugget. So at 3, yeah, I would look at the Chiefs. I think that they'll fluster Jones, and Mahomes will do enough at home. And this is, as you mentioned, it's a massive game. Like Chiefs lose this. Chiefs right now, you can kiss the division goodbye. Like they're basically 4.5 back because they're 4 back, and they lost to the Broncos. Now they get the Broncos at home, so whatever you could say that they're 4 back. But it's week 12, so you can kiss the division goodbye. Wild card, I mean, they're basically 2 back because 2+ back because the Jags have beat them head to head. The Chargers beat them head to head, and now this, like the Chargers still theoretically could win the division. You lose this, and you don't have the head to head against the Colts too, and then you're 5-6. Like I think this is make or break. Like I think if Kansas City wins this game, they'll probably find a way to sneak in. If they lose this game, I think they're out and they're not making the playoffs. Massive swing game for this whole season.
You should go to. We both should go to like Denver and just go to bars and tell people in our power rankings we got the Chiefs #1 still in the league.
People will lose their minds.
I think one of my favorite games on the board might be the Saints coming off a bye -1.5 against the Falcons. I mean, you talk about a franchise. It's sad, Seattle and Niner fans are looking. You're like, wait, the Rams have the 8th pick in the draft right now, and this could get uglier for Atlanta. London's hurt. Obviously, Penix is out. I mean, the corpse of Cousins, who's going to be. I bet a $27.5 million backup. Like truly, just like in the offseason, this guy's going to be our backup. That record's going to stand for a while. Like the cap, we got a long way to go before we. And I'm not talking like $14 million Daniel Jones. He ends up. I'm talking like this guy is going to be our backup all off season. The way they had said it, I don't think we see that for a long, long time. And I think the Falcons, man, this thing, I don't even think it's got as ugly as it's going to get. And I actually listen. Tyler Shuck, I got a text from a buddy that works for the Saints. He's like, "Hey, did you see what he did?" I was like, "I'm not watching you guys." So I went back and watched him. I was like, "God, this guy's slinging it." I can see this thing getting ugly for Atlanta.
Yeah. Well, by the way, I'll give you one that's going to be worse. That'll never be broken. Next year, 2026 season, Deshaun Watson's cap hit for the Browns is $82 million. That's ridiculous. He's like their 4th string quarterback right now.
Do you think
$82
when they
million
signed that
cap.
contract, they were like, well, he's going to be so good, we'll just renegotiate and get that thing, like kind of like the Dak Prescott type thing. But it's so ugly, they'll probably end up cutting him and just accelerate. That number could actually get bigger.
Yeah, his base salary next year is 46 million, and then he has prorated bonuses that all get paid out. So his
What if he's
approximate
just our
cap hit,
starting quarterback next year? They said, fuck it.
maybe.
Probably
He
not.
might be
No.
washed. I from what I saw and all these injuries, and man, it's crazy. But yeah, I love the Saints this week. This is number one, the spot, as you mentioned, Saints coming off of a bye, which I think is more beneficial in their case because you have a new quarterback, right? A rookie quarterback gets to work with the offense, build timing. And then you have the Falcons who are in a dream crusher spot. They're coming off two games that essentially ended their season. Both losses came in overtime. One overseas, one at home, dropped to 3-7 in the NFC, you're done. And their defense was on the field for a million plays in both games. You saw them wear down at the end of the Panthers game. Well, now back-to-back overtime games going on the road, 3-7. Do they show up? More importantly, and so what are they going to try to do? They're going to try. I mean, that's the corpse, as you mentioned, the corpse of Cousins. Cousins is 42nd out of 44 quarterbacks in EPA plus completion percentage over expectation. The only quarterbacks that are worse this year are McCarthy and Gabriel. He's only one of four that is negative in that stat. The only other negative one is Cam Ward. And he got to play. We already saw the Falcons play with Cousins and no Drake London. It was against the Dolphins at home, and they lost that 35-7 or something. They got blown out. We've already seen this. Their offensive line isn't fully healthy. What are they going to try to do here? They're going to try to run it. Well, the Saints' run D is pretty good. They're 7th in rush EPA, 10th in rush success rate. So I don't know how the Falcons move the ball here. Drake London is so important. Like, he might be the most valuable wide receiver in the NFL because, number one, he's really good. Number two, the drop-off to who else they have is massive. And if you look at their numbers, like his on-off splits, they average 5.7 yards per play with him, 4.4 without him. How about the run game? 4.7 with him on the field, 3.5 without him. Because without London, you can just load the box, worry about Bijan. That's what the Dolphins did. I mean, without him on the field, their EPA per play is essentially equal to the Browns' offense. The only offense that's worse is the Titans. So their other receivers over the past 4 games, whether it's Cousins or Penix, their other receivers not named Drake London have been targeted 38 times. They have 13 catches. It's a mess, and it's a horrible spot. So, yeah, I like the Saints here. Shuck did look good. He's pushing the ball down the field. If Saints are pretty much fully healthy at home off a bye, I love the Saints here.
You know what's funny is I saw this thing on Instagram that these Falcons fans aren't happy, and they were going on this rant that after Kyle Pitts, it was like one of the great 8 or 9 player stretches in like draft history. It's like Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, right? Patrick Surtain, Devontae Smith, Micah Parsons, J.C. Horn. I'm not going in exact order. Even Jalen Waddle, like he's way better than Kyle Pitts. Basically, their point was you could have closed your eyes, taken the group of players, thrown a dart, and it would have been impossible to screw up. Yet the Falcons, big picture, screwed it up. And they got the player that none of those other teams would trade their guy for. Most of them would laugh. I mean, there are multiple Hall of Famers in the group. I mean, honestly, Jamar Chase, Penei Sewell, Micah Parsons. I mean, Devontae is going to have a long career with a lot of numbers, right?
You know it's bad when the Bengals get it right and you don't in the draft. And yeah, it feels like the Falcons are never going to get it right, and they're never going to recover from 28-3. That was
Another thing. It kind of broke their franchise. The other thing I saw on Instagram, which I kind of hope it was true, that like CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens were out gambling and boozing and were like puking. But again, I mean, it's Instagram. I want that to be true because I feel like Al Davis, like back in the 70s, like that was his team. Like not Kenny Powers, but Kenny Stabler used to say, like I'd read the playbook by the light of the jukebox, but they won, and Al didn't give a shit. John Madden, you do whatever you want. That play when George Pickens scored on Monday night, it was like the Raiders do a little 1-2-3, we quit, because that was whoa. Now, different animal, Fangio. It's crazy. You know, this is why Howie's so good. Like They're the defending champs. They were winning games, but it didn't quite look right, and he was just aggressive, aggressive. Most of these other teams, like I get Lions fans in my DMs, like, bro, we're always talking about the next 5 years. Like, live in the freaking moment. Why aren't we going? If Howie's going after, why aren't we going after these players? He has way more hardware than we have recently. It's like, well, that's just the way he thinks, man. He's just, and that's their owner. They're like, we'll pay this guy, and it's also like Jalen Phillips. We'll give you an 8 or 9 game tryout. If you're good, we'll extend you. That's what they're doing. They're getting a third round. They're worth paying the premium. If he's good, we have free access to him, and we'll give him a contract extension. That's why they do it. And this defense looks fantastic. So I think that this is the classic. Like everyone's going to be like, oh, Dallas is. I think the Eagles defense. I mean, they're a defensive team. And Fangio, that over the last couple of weeks, team speed. Jalen Phillips it feels like has even risen. The two defensive tackles look a lot better. Obviously, their linebacker plays fantastic. Just their unit from when you get a good pass rush, you can make random DBs look pretty good. Most people don't have like multiple good corners. That's not the way it works. I mean, look at the Rams. Like the Rams, it's the defensive line that changes the game. So I kind of like the Eagles in this spot where I feel like a lot of people are going to lean on Dallas just because it was recency bias.
Yeah, I mean, I played the Cowboys plus 3.5. It's come down to 3. If you can get 3.5, I still like the Cowboys. At 3, I do not. And mainly it's the main reason is number one, I do think the Cowboys defense will be better after their additions against the run. Right. I mean, you add Williams to that defensive line, you get you add Wilson, Overshown back. Their front now, which can generate pressure, is going to be better against the run. And then on the back end, all they do, it's not going to be good. But they play a ton of zone, and that's what you want to do against the Eagles. The Eagles, that Jalen Hurts' numbers versus man are here, versus zone, they're here. And it's Eberflus. You're going to play a ton of zone. And we have seen that the Eagles' offense is still broken. Like they came out of the bye. Now the Packers' defense is really good. The Lions' defense is okay, and there was wind in conditions. But the Lions with pumpkin outdoor Jared Goff. I mean, Jared Goff, if you see him with a glove on, he's basically JJ McCarthy. He went 2 of 18 at one point. He was, what was he, 14 of 37? The Lions went 0 of 5 on fourth down. The NFL record is 0 of 6 that the Lions set against the Patriots. Goff outdoors, shocker, against Bailey Zappi in a game that I think the Lions lost 28-0 a few years ago. And that they had a chance if there wasn't the phantom PI, we got the ball back, with a chance to tie it. Now they probably wouldn't have went down the field. But that just shows you
no chance with Goff unless they ran some.
But I'm just saying that that's how limited this Eagles offense is. And now you just know Lane Johnson, and like they've been doing.
And Jurgens is concussed, right? He's out, so their backup
Jurgens. So like the offensive line's not the same, which is hurting Barkley, and they're just not getting margin on teams. They're relying on their defense, and I agree that their defense is only getting better, and their offense somehow is getting
Would
worse.
you put them in like the Denver-Houston category based on the last couple of weeks now that they had Jalen Phillips?
Yeah, they're up there. I mean, I still have Houston 1, Denver 2 with Surtain. But the Eagles are right there. Fangio out of the bye. These defenses usually trend up, but like Phillips, they got a couple other guys back healthy. And then you have those Georgia guys in the middle. Their defense is only going to get better. And yeah, Phillips looks incredible. It was a great addition by Howie. But the offense is not getting any better. I mean, the offense is getting worse. I mean, they've had like 2 of their worst offensive games from an EPA perspective over the past 3 years in the past 2 weeks. And like they just can't build margin, right? They have 8 wins on the year. 7 have come by 1 possession. So like the teams are in it against them. And I think that the Dallas defense, because they play a ton of zone, because they're better up front, I think that they can. I mean, everyone's getting stops against the Eagles. So the only team that has it is when like the Giants were down to all their backups, and the Giants cannot stop the run to save their life. So Barkley was able to go off. And then on the other side, yes, the Eagles D is trending up, but I still trust the Cowboys to put up some points at home. Dak's playing at an MVP level. That offense is very tough to contain, and Dak for whatever reason dominates the NFC East against the spread. He's 31-13 against the spread against the NFC East, covering by about a touchdown per game, over 70%. I know Dallas on a short week, but that was an easy win. And the Eagles, this is their 3rd game in 13 days after 2 hard-fought games. So what do I think the most likely outcome here is? Eagles win by 3. And like the other thing is once the Eagles get a lead, they at the end of the game, they could go on like a 7-minute drive, and then just kill the clock. But I think Dallas keeps it close and is feisty here against an Eagles offense that's just incapable of building margin. And now you're without maybe the most valuable right tackle in the league, your center, and that's contributing to some of the issues that the Eagles are having. And you did mention the Raiders, and do they have quit? Maybe, but I bet them -3.5. I bet them
I kind of like him too.
-3.5. Shedeur is not ready to be an NFL quarterback right now. Not nowhere close.
What would be a third day? But if you just go third day rookie quarterback, first start midseason on the road, I mean, the stats would be on your side to take the Raiders, right?
Yes, but I think like from everything I've heard,
the Browns' offensive line's terrible too. I mean, Crosby is still playing his ass off. I could see Crosby having a massive day.
He could have like 5 sacks this game. Yeah, I mean, I believe, dating back to 1999, the Browns have had 17 quarterbacks make their first career start. They're 0-17 in those games. But
I feel Shedeur I mean, it sucks. They like football so much, and it's like it's like the Raiders fans. It's like these people love football, which I love people that love football. And it's just after there's a certain point of like every team has a shitty couple years, like the Patriots, but just like it never ends. It never ends if you're a Browns fan or a Raider fan. It just feels like in perpetuity, we're going to suck.
And then you got to watch the Ravens be good, the team that left Cleveland. They've won a couple Super Bowls. So, yeah, I have a ton of friends in Cleveland, even though I'm a Ravens fan. And it's they call it the factory of sadness. I go up there for one game a year, every year. I feel for Browns fans.
Well, if you're a Raider fan, it's like, we're all moving us in the Chargers. We might share a building. Then like several years later, we get Gruden. They get shitty coaches. Blows up in our face. A couple years later, they get Jim Harbaugh. It's like they're just going to be good. The Broncos get Sean Payton. The Chiefs were already down. It's like, we are so screwed. We got 75-year-old Pete Carroll. We got Chip Kelly, who is just running a great scam right now. I mean, cashing them Tom Brady private equity money. It's like, this sucks. I mean, this sucks.
It's miserable. Yeah, and there was some like optimism going into the year, and
I kind of believed it. I thought they would be a little feisty.
Yeah, I mean, it's Chip Kelly's been a disaster. Carroll's not been good. The offensive line is in shambles. You lost Colton Miller as one of the most underrated left tackles, and you lost Powers Johnson, who's probably their best interior lineman, and it's falling to pieces. That's my one concern here. I mean, this total is down to 35.5. It's indoors. I think there's been 2 totals that have been 35.5 over the past 30 years. That is low. I could see the under, but I'm afraid of short fields. So I'm afraid that Myles Garrett and company could just wreak havoc on Geno. But what this comes down to me, and keep in mind, I mentioned this last week, the Browns defense is not the same on the road. At home, I almost always bet them. They covered again last week. Over the past 3 seasons, the most profitable home team against the spread, it's not the Lions and degenerate Dan Campbell. It's the Browns. They're 63% against the spread. The least profitable team on the road over the past 3 years is the Browns. They're 5-17 against the spread, 22.7%. They're failing to cover by about a touchdown per game. Why? Because their defense isn't the same. Their offense stinks everywhere. Now they have tackle injuries. So, but the main point here is I don't think Shedeur Sanders is ready to come into an NFL game and do anything against a competent defense. The Raiders have a decent defense. Like, they played some tough offenses this year. Patrick Graham's a good coordinator. They'll take away explosive plays. They have Crosby. Adjusted for schedule, they're like 12th.
I mean, in fairness, George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb lighten you up. It's like those guys are elite players.
Yes.
Especially George this year. I mean, George has been pretty dominant.
Yeah, I mean, there's just nothing to browse. But Shedeur, he's, from everything that I've heard and seen, he can't read blitz. He's not ready to, and that's been the thing, his preparation and his care, and it's just not there yet. That's why he hasn't seen the field over Gabriel, who's not good. Gabriel's been one of the worst. So you would think, how can it get much worse? Well, I'll tell you, because all the people that I'm close to in the Browns were like, he's not ready. I told you last week, I had the Browns plus 8.5 against my Ravens. They're up 6 in the fourth quarter with the ball, and I thought I was going to lose my bet. It's the fourth quarter with a dominant defense. I just didn't want the Browns to have the ball. because I was like, there's going to throw. So he threw one of the worst picks I've ever seen. He also on a rollout was trying to throw a like a little just dump off. It went. Kyle Hamilton dropped the pick six. He went 0 of 8 against the blitz with 100% pressure rate. He held the ball the longest of any. He doesn't look at his first read. He took a sack almost as a safety. He had another sack where he fumbled it, but the Browns offensive lineman recovered it. The Ravens almost won that game by 21, and they were down 6 in the fourth quarter. So I just think it's
well, his natural reaction, a little Caleb-y, is to take off. Well, Caleb is a big time athlete, and
yeah,
has a
he's
huge
not.
arm.
He got away at look. Shedeur, when he has time, he has a great arm and he's very accurate. But right now he just can't read NFL defenses and blitzes. And like he is used to at Colorado, he would just go all the way back, and then he was able to shred Big 12 defenses with really good receivers. By the way, they're all in the NFL, and the Browns don't have that, and they have a bad offensive line, bad receivers, and this is a different type of speed. This is not the Big 12, it's the NFL. So not to say Shedeur can't ever be good, but right now he's not ready. I mean, last week was a disaster.
There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this game that no one would have watched 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, now it's a lot more interesting. I laid it with the Raiders. It's disgusting. Like, who wants to lay points with the Raiders team? But I did. By the way, here's a stat. Because you can go back to the last preseason game that Sanders played. He played against the Rams, who sent their scout team. They didn't send. I forget who started for the Rams in that game. They went to Cleveland. It was like it was a Saturday afternoon. It was like a noon kick. They didn't play anybody, and it was like a third string defense. And I think he had like 5. Was sacked like 5 or 6 times in a quarter. But including that game and then last week's game, over the last 31 times that Shedeur Sanders has dropped back, the Browns have -7 yards. 31 dropbacks, -7 yards. That's stunning.
Speaking of the Rams, I mean, were you on the Sean Tucker train before that performance the other night? I'll be honest, I didn't know much about him, but I immediately Googled him.
Syracuse guy, he's bringing some juice that
he can scoot.
That they've been missing without Bucky.
Sneaky with Carolina, which if you would have told me the Niners Carolina would be a big game, I know it was on Monday night when the schedule came out, but like people would like there'd be a decent amount on the line. I'd be like, you're crazy, but there is for both teams.
Especially Tampa, for a wild card tiebreaker, too.
Yeah, I mean, well, what about, I mean, they still play Tampa twice. I mean, Tampa's just, it felt like they were just going to run away with it because we viewed the Atlanta Falcons as being the team that would be chasing them. Turns out it's the Carolina Panthers. It's not inconceivable. I mean, the 49ers are rolling out a UFL defense. So if Purdy, McCaffrey, and Kittle and Pearsall's back, if they're scoring points, probably be okay. But if they have an off day, that defense
Panthers could win in a shootout.
I don't think most people realize Jacoby Brissett just threw for 450 yards.
NFL record for completions in a game.
If you would have told me his stat line to going into that game, I'd be like, oh, the Niners are probably going to lose this game 40-30 or something,
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they had a kick return. They had a bunch of turnovers, and then they had a 98-yard kick return. Otherwise, that game probably, the Niners probably would have won, but it would have been like 40-30. It
would have been tight. Yeah, it would have been tight. They're going to play in a lot of tight games with that defense.
Yep.
I'm going to take Tampa 6.5 here. That was a massive win for the Rams, which is crazy. He throws all these picks and he does not look good. It's not like balls are getting tipped. I mean, his picks were hitting guys in their chest. The one jump pass thing that he did that is like, Sam, I'm your fan, but what are we doing here? Still covered, but I think I'm going to take Tampa here plus 6.5.
Yeah, that speaks to the Seahawks defense that
pretty elite.
Threw 4 picks and they were able to.
Stafford threw for 130 yards.
Yeah, they still had a kick to win it. So we'll see if the Bucs get any healthier here, especially at 7. Definitely would look at the Bucs. Here's one of the things that the Rams are doing lately is they're using 13 personnel over the past month. I think they've used it like 40-45% of the time. So they're using like 3 tight ends on the field at the same time. And that's kind of part of a bigger trend in the NFL this year And the Ravens have kind of been ahead of the curve, right? They were doing it with a lot of the 12 personnel with Likely and Andrews, and then a fullback in there and Ricard, and then you have Lamar and like it was like a heavier offense. Why was that advantageous? Well, most importantly, defenses aren't used to ever all the other weeks you're playing 11 personnel, right? And it's the same kind of offenses and spread. So, these things are cyclical. The
Become a
offense
heavy spread
adjusts.
league, like a lot like college.
Yeah. And then offenses adjust. So now you're seeing like look at the Steelers. The Steelers are running out there like 2, 3 tight ends all the time. The Seahawks are going heavy personnel, heavy play action, and they're not even running it well, but they're throwing it really well. Now the Rams, one of the best offenses in the NFL, they're going like 3 tight ends 40% of the time. So one of the biggest issues with that you see from NFL teams is they are matching these heavy personnel formations on with their base defense, which is the wrong approach. And what I mean by that is, so if you have a bunch of tight ends out there, a lot of teams will say, okay, let's put linebackers out there. We got to stop the run. We got to stop. But teams are throwing out of this, and they're throwing to their tight ends, and they're creating mismatches against non-cover guys. The best way to approach this is you don't match the formation, you match the down and distance, right? So if it's like a passing down, you have your nickel in there. The team that does it the best. Now in order to do that, if you have like a really good nickel that could also be basically a linebacker and cover, the Seahawks already have one of those, and Nick Imamura, the rookie out of South Carolina. The Seahawks match base with heavy personnel only 20% of the time. That's the lowest by far. So basically, they just always have their nickel out there. Gives them a lot of flexibility, and they can still defend the run. The league average is 80%. Two teams that do a good job of doing this that are around 50% are the Bears and the Bucs. So the Bucs do a good job of doing this, which is really important against the Rams. They're not just going to, when the Rams have 3 tight ends, they're not going to, bring in all their linebackers. They're going to still have their cover guys out there, which is important because the Rams can really still throw and do a lot out of that formation. And the reason the Bucs can do that is because their run defense is really good, just with their guys up front, and they don't have to really worry about it. So a little in the weeds there. I don't know if that all made sense, but from that perspective, I think the Bucs will be able to handle some of this 13 personnel stuff that's giving other teams issues. But one of the reasons it didn't in Seattle is because they're not matching. They're able to kind of play nickel and still contain the run and then cover all the guys that the Rams are throwing to. So the Bucs aren't as good at it as Seattle, but their run D is just as good. And they're not matching with base as often as a lot of these other teams are doing, which is a major mistake in my opinion. And I think eventually all these defenses will catch on. And you got to get more of these hybrid safety nickel linebacker guys who are become so much more important. And then you're able to do what the Seahawks do. So yeah, I don't mind taking the 7 here with the Bucs, but huge game. Like if the Bucs lose and they're 7-point dogs and the Panthers win in a shootout, the Panthers are in first place on Tuesday morning, and it's a huge game and wild card tiebreakers. And so the Panthers have been feisty. I mean, this is also a team that went on the road and won at Green Bay. They're, Bryce Young's playing better. They can run the ball. Ted McMillan's really good. So, 2 really important games in that division. And especially for the 49ers, because as you said, they're probably going to lose some shootouts, win some shootouts. So every game is so important in the NFC, which is just going to be an all-out war. I mean, this is the first time in a very long time, now granted I'm a Ravens fan, that I look at the playoff picture and the projected matchups, especially if the Chiefs aren't in there. Imagine if the Ravens don't get in either. That I'm like, I can't wait for the NFC compared to the AFC. I mean, like right now in the NFC, you're talking.
Well, you got a couple. Tampa, LA is like kind of an early season playoff game. That's Seattle Rams game, early season playoff game. This 49er Carolina game. Assuming Tampa loses, there's not as much pressure on Carolina. They lose. They still, control a lot of their destiny because they play them. I do think there's a ton of pressure on the 49ers, given how Seattle's not going away. Obviously, the Rams would be rolling. They have the Browns, Cleveland the following week. And you mentioned this, like Schwartz owns Kyle Shanahan. A couple years ago, and they played in
And the
that.
Browns almost always they beat them last year. They're in every
Their
game, no matter who
defense
they
is
play.
good at home. It'd probably be bad weather. Purdy holding on to the ball. He's got a little Goff to him. It's not as good in. I mean, you see him in a dome. I mean, he looks fantastic. You get him in that inclement weather. It'd be cold, windy, wet. That Browns game is tricky. You would have told me at the beginning of the season that 49ers win 10 or 11 games. I would have circled that. Like, that's probably a loss going into their bye. But you win this thing, you're 8-4. You get a little breathing room. Okay, you lose that. You still control your own destiny against the Bears the following week, who are going to start playing the Packers and the Lions. That thing can get a little weird. I think this is game at home, Monday Night Football. You win this game, you're 8-4. You got a pretty good path to get to that 7 seed, and pretty remarkable accomplishment given the injuries. But given your defense, I mean, McMillan, listen, I was like, I don't know, man. This kind of big guy. He's not that fast. I get he was really productive in the Big 12 at Arizona. I've seen this song and dance before. He looks awesome. That's a good pick. Even Leggett, now granted, we kind of weird early start to his career, did look pretty good. Made some plays last year, showed some explosion, or last week, excuse me, against Atlanta. If they can get him going a little bit with McMillan, their offense, they do got a little pop to them.
Yeah, and they can run the ball, and you can run on San Fran. The other thing is, like, San Francisco's not getting any pressure right now, so like
Zero.
Young can just sit back there. And
it's not an easy game for the Niners. Like I would not trust with the points just because their defense is so atrocious.
Yeah, I took the 7. Just I can't trust them to win by margin. Like, you got to trust to win by 10 or more. Plus, the backdoor would be very easy against that defense if you need it. But yeah, the NFC's crazy right now. The Lions aren't in the playoffs if the season ended right now, and neither are the Panthers. And it's pretty wild. I mean, the matchups in the first round will be 49ers at Rams, Packers at Bears, Seahawks at Bucks, Eagles bye. Like, that's intriguing. Whereas, like in the AFC, you got the top seeds are like Daniel Jones and Bo Nix and Aaron Rodgers, and you got the Chargers without an O-line, the Jags. Like, the NFC right now, as it currently stands, is way more intriguing than the AFC.
Well, Stuckey, enjoy the weekend, and we will reconvene next week going into Turkey Day. It's actually a pretty good slate on 3 games on Thursday, and then even the Black Friday games. Like, damn, that's a pretty good Black Friday game.
Yeah, you got college football days Friday and Saturday, so
yeah, it's a good week.
Can't wait. We'll catch up Tuesday and go through it.
Talk to you soon, buddy.
All right, brother.